John was my first son. My husband and I got married in 2000, and we had John on January 12th of 2002, and he was perfectly healthy, wonderful baby. We were very excited and incredibly in love, as all new parents are. I remember the morning of April 25th. That morning, for some reason, he was just in a silly mood and he was laughing, and I remember changing him, and I just didn't even want to take him to the babysitters because we were having such a good time. And so when I got to the babysitters, he was in his car seat. I carried him in. He was asleep. I left him there and left him with his bottles, and went on my way to work. And at about 1 o'clock that afternoon, I got a phone call, and I could see on my cell phone that it was the babysitter, and I answered it, and she was just yelling, and she said, "The baby, he's not breathing, he's not breathing." And finally get to the hospital, and my husband's already there, and I see my baby being worked on, and eventually the doctors came in and told us that they couldn't save him, they couldn't help him. And they didn't really have answers for us then. They said it was probably SIDS, which obviously we had heard of, but you don't think a whole lot about that. From there, we just moved forward, I guess. We just tried to deal with it.
The loss of a loved one is very difficult, anytime. It seems to be particularly difficult for people who've lost a child, because that's out of order. You're not supposed to outlive your children. And so that's very difficult for families, and it creates a variety of different stressors. Really what we do is meet with the family the first time and say, you know, what the problems are and what their view of what's happening, and then we work together to figure out the best way to serve them.
We went to our first support group probably about a month after John had died, maybe a month and a half. It was located at the Any Baby Can offices, and I heard other people's stories, and I saw them cry, and for the first time I felt a little bit of hope. One of my friends suggested that we all run the San Antonio Marathon in John's memory, and I just said, well, why don't we start a run in John's memory?
You're not supposed to forget, but you are supposed to find a way to make sense out of this. And people who successfully deal with grief and resolve it tend to figure out some meaning that has in their life.
We had the first annual John's Run Mother's Day weekend the year after John died in 2003, and it was way beyond our wildest dreams. We raised more money than we ever expected. We developed friendships. We learned about each other, because you grieve so much differently, a husband and wife, and that's where the counseling was just so important to us.
Working closely with families who've suffered the loss of an infant or young child, we can provide the hope, strength, and courage they'll need to face life one day at a time.